Okay, guys, so we're gonna start with the first. This is the quiz that I gave you guys the other night. I'm gonna start with the first section, question. I'm gonna show you how to do it first and dimensional analysis. So we have 2.2 pounds is 1 kilogram. We're looking for pounds. So we know, as I said before, pounds is what we're looking for, right? All right, so remember, first thing that goes is pounds. Okay, so we're looking for pounds, right? So we know 2.2 pounds is 1 kilogram. We have 50 kilograms. We're looking for, this is our X, this is our 1, whichever one you want to use. Okay, then we do this. 2.2 times 50 equals 110, because we multiply straight across. Straight across. These cancel each other out. That's your answer. 1 over 10 equals 110. 1 into 110 equals 110. That's 110 pounds. That's how you get number 1. Okay? Now, to check your work, as remember I told you, 2.2 pounds times 50 equals 110. That's how you check your work. Same way, just a different way to do it. Okay? Remember I told you, when we take pounds, when we're looking for pounds, we take the kilograms times 2.2. If we're looking for kilograms, we divide the pounds by 2.2. We divide. All right, so this is the next one. So how a baby weighs 11 pounds. How many kilograms is this? Okay, so we're looking for how many kilograms. So kilograms is our first. We're looking for kilograms. So we start our equation by putting kilograms first over pounds. So we know 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds. Then we come over here and multiply, and then we're going to put 11 pounds, because remember, we want to make sure that whatever is here is equal over X. So 1 times 11 is 11. 2.2 times 1 equals 2.2. We divide 2.2 into 11, and what do you get? It's 5. 5 pounds. Okay? Now, as I just told you a while ago, you divide, if we're looking for pounds, and we have if we convert it from pounds to kilograms, we divide, because we divide kilograms into pounds. So we take 11 divided by 2.2 equals 5. Okay? All right. Those are pretty easy. Now, next question. How many kilometers are in 9 miles? So we're looking for kilometers. That's what we're at. That's what they're asking for. How many kilometers is what we're looking for. But they're giving you how many miles. So, what goes first? Well, remember, we're looking for kilometers. Okay? So we know, here's your line, times your line. So what goes here? Kilometers, because that's what they're asking for. We have miles, so we know 1 kilometer equals 0.6 miles. So we're going to put 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles. Because we know here, this is miles because we get 9 miles. Okay? And they're looking for kilometers here. Okay? All right. So then what do? We just multiply across. 9 over 0.6, because 0.6 times 1 is 0.6. We take that 9 divided by 0.6, and that gives us 15. So we have 15 kilometers. Okay? So remember, we're looking for kilometers. We put kilometers here first. That's always going to be the first thing you put, no matter what. Whatever they're looking for, it's going to be your first. It's going to be on your first fraction. Then you're going to put meters because that's what, or miles because that's what they're looking. That's what they're giving you here. Okay, we're converting miles into kilometers. So again, 1 kilometer times 9. Well, these cancel out because we no longer need them. Okay. So there you go. 9, 0.6 equals 15 kilometers. Okay, now, all right, that's it. That's it for that one. All right. So the next question is number 4. If you make $22 an hour and you work 8-hour days, how many days would it take to buy a new laptop that costs $1,250? Okay. So the first thing we're going to put, they're looking for how many hours. I mean, how many days would it take to buy a new laptop? So it says how many days would it take? So we're looking for days, right? That's our question, how many days? So we're going to start our equation. So first we're going to do one day. You make $8. You make is 8 hours a day, right? Okay. So one day is 8 hours. Okay. So then we'll put hours. Okay. Then we're going to go time. So what do we need to put up here? This is going to be hours because remember hours goes like this. So we have 1 hour equals $22. Okay. Well, now what are we going to put? Well, we know that we want to see how many days we have to work to make $1,250. So $1,250 goes here because, why? We have dollars. It goes here. And we're looking for how many hours, okay? Or how many days, okay? So, and then this is another thing. You have day, hours, dollars, but we're looking for how many days. So look, days is all the way down here again. So look, see how it goes here? But we always start with day, okay? So we take 1 times 1 is 1 times 1250. Okay? So when we don't put dollars, we cross that out. All this is canceled out. Okay? Now we take 8 times 22. That gives you 8 times 22 is 176. Okay? Now, what do we do next? We divide the 1250 by 176. So, right here. That gives you 7.10 days. That's how many days it's going to take you to make up enough money to buy your $1,250 laptop. Okay? If you look here, all right, that's what we're looking for. Down here, it's 8 all the way across. So again, they're looking for days. This is your question. How many days? That's what they're asking. How many days are you going to take? How many days? That's where I got this. How many days? And remember, I told you at the beginning of class, every time you start an equation, whatever you're looking for goes first on the first line, on the top of the first line. Then whatever they give you, 1 day is 8 hours. You know how many hours is going to be that. So for this day, it's 8-hour days. Take that over here. You have 1 hour. And in 1 hour, you make $22. Okay. So how many days is it going to make $12.50? Well, that's what they've given us. We're trying to figure out how many days is going to take to make that. And then you multiply all the way across, and then you divide. So anytime you have an equation, you multiply. Once you get the final answer, then you divide. That gives you 7.10. Okay? All right. Okay, going on to number 5 on the quiz. Okay, number 5. If an order calls for 2 teaspoons of cough medicine, how many milliliters will the nurse prepare? So what are they looking for? What are we looking for in this question? Well, they're asking how many milliliters. So this is what we're looking for, milliliters, okay? So again, we come over here. We put milliliters, question mark, because that's what they're looking for, right? Okay. So, what do we start off with? Our first line is the first fraction is going to be mLs because that's what we're looking for. Okay? So, it gives us 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs. So, 5 mLs is 1 teaspoon. Then we multiply that. Now what do we gotta look? Well, they're asking how many teaspoons. They give us 2 teaspoons. So they wanna know how many mLs is in 2 teaspoons of cough medicine. Well, we know that this is teaspoons, so what's gonna go here? Teaspoons. Well, where else in this equation gives you teaspoons? Right here. Goes right there. 2 teaspoons. Well, we're also looking for our x, okay? So, 5 times 2 equals 10. 1 times 1 is 1. That gives you 10 mLs. Okay? Now, to check your work, and remember I gave you that little cheat sheet that in the beginning of class. Well, we know 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs. Okay? So if we know 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs, just like they gave you here, if they give you 2 teaspoons, what's that? It's 5 times 2, 10. Okay, so you see, they're telling you 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs. They're asking for how many 2 teaspoons. How many mLs is in 2 teaspoons? That's 10 mLs. Okay? Okay, all right, next. Now we're looking for how many grams. Well, there's what we're looking for. There's our question. That's what we're trying to find. How many grams? So grams is considered a G, only a G. That's your base unit. G is a base unit, grams. If you put kilograms or micrograms, grams is still your base unit. Well, we're looking for grams, okay? So again, what's our first fraction going to be? Grams, okay? You can also put it with a GM, whatever you want to do. It's easier just to put a G because that's your, that's your grams. So we're looking for how many grams, okay? Well, so we got to go over here and look. So they gave us 450 grams, what equals 1 pound. Well, we know that they just gave us grams, so we're going to put that 454 in the first line because that's what we're looking for, grams. Remember, they already gave you grams. So we're going to put right here 1 pound, okay? Now, we need to put our next fraction. Well, what are we gonna put here? Because we know what goes here. What goes here? Pound, okay? Well, the next one says 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So we put the 2,000 right here, and we put tons here because that's what they gave us, okay? Now, we put one more. So they say how many grams are in 1 ton? Well, here's our 1 ton. Now we're looking for kicks or our grams. See? Grams, okay? 1, 1, 2, like that, see? All right, if you can set your equation up like this, you can fill everything else in because they're giving you all the information right here. All right, so what do? We go 454 times 2,000 times 1 equals 908,000 over 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. What does that give you? 908,000 tons. Okay, guys? It's all a matter about how you set up your problem, okay? The easier ones are how you set up your problem. Because remember, as I said, whatever you're looking for goes here first. Always starts first. That's what you're starting with. Whatever given is, it starts here. Grams, 454 grams. Then we start going up, all right? And then you get grams and grams here, all right? So you mark that out, and there you go, okay? There's 908,000, all right? All right, moving on. Number 7. Okay, number 7. All right, so if an order calls for 0.5 ounces of antacid, how many mLs will the nurse prepare? So what are they looking for? What is our measurement we're looking for? We're looking for milliliters because it says how many milliliters. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to go over here and we're going to write ml question mark because that's what we're looking for. So how do we start our equation again? All right. Well, let's look at what they've given us. They've got 2 teaspoons equals 1 ounce. 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons, and 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs. All right. So where do we go? Well, let's look backwards. Let's go this way. 5 mLs, because remember, we told you 5 mLs starts it, right? And we know they've given us 5 mLs equals 1 teaspoon. Okay, what's our next fraction going to be? Well, working backwards, it gives us 3 teaspoons equals 3 tablespoons. And we know this is going to be teaspoons because it cancels each other out. So we put 3 over 1 tablespoon. Okay? Remember, teaspoon, teaspoon. So what do you think is going to go the next one here? What's going to go here? Tablespoons, because that's our next given. 2 tablespoons equals 1 ounce. Remember, we're going like this. So 2 tablespoons equals 1 ounce. Okay? Now, we're not done because what have they given us? They said how many, if an order calls for 0.5 ounces, how many in milliliters will the nurse prepare? Well, okay, so we have ounces here, so what are we going to do? We're going to bring the ounces over here. Ounces here, because they've given us what they're looking for, 0.5 ounces. And this is our question mark. Okay? So what are we going to do? This is going to be where we're going to, this is our X or what we're looking for, okay? So, again, teaspoons, teaspoons, tablespoon, tablespoon, ounce, ounce. But look, here's your mLs, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for how many mLs, see? So you should always form your equation where everything goes like this, and the end of your equation should always be over here to see what you're looking for. Okay? So, again, we're going to multiply now. 5 times 3 times 2 times 0.5 equals 15, right? Good. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. What does that give you? 15, because 1 and 15 makes it a whole 15. All right? Now, let's double check your work, and I'm going to throw this extra step in there. If you don't want to listen, keep going. Okay? If we look here, if you look at your tablespoon, and the little cheat sheet I gave you before, it shows the 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs, 1 tablespoon equals 15 mLs. Well, you know right here, 1 tablespoon equals 1 ounce, or 2 tablespoons equals 1 ounce, okay? So we know 2 tablespoons equals equals 30 mLs, right? All right? And we're looking for, and what we know, and we know 30 mLs equals 1 ounce. So 2 tablespoons equals 30 mLs because 1 tablespoon equals 15 mLs. And by your cheat sheet. So we know that 2 tablespoons equals 30. Well, we already know, because it says right here, 2 tablespoons equals 1 ounce. Well, what's half of 1 ounce? 15. So this is double checking. This is proofreading your work. Proofing your work. This is not part of the equation. This is just an extra step to show you, see if you can check your work. Show you to check your work properly. Do that this way first, and then come back and say, okay, well, I know that 2 tablespoons is 30 mLs. Well, that equals 1 ounce. So if half of 1 ounce would be 15. Okay? So just another way of checking your work, okay? All right. Okay, next question. How many gallons are in 21.5 liters? All right, well, it gives us 4 liters equals 1 gallon. So what are we looking for? What's our question? It says how many gallons? So that's what we're looking for. How many gallons? Right there. So we're going to put over here gallons. Okay? How many gallons? Well, when we start our equation, what do? Where do we put it? Correct. We put it right here, first line, because that's what we're looking for. Remember, it always goes there. Okay? First line goes to gallon. Now, it says 4 liters equals 1 gallon. Okay, well, we know 1 gallon is 4 liters, right? Well, how many gallons are in 21.5 liters? Times, what are we going to put here? What are we putting there? Remember, up, liters. Well, they're asking this in how many gallons in 21.5. So 21.5 over your x, or 1, and then we take 21.5 times 21.5, because 1 times 21.5 is 21.5, over 4 times 1 is 4. Then what do? That gives us 5.375 gallons. Okay? Now, if you want to round up, that's fine. You always round up to the nearest 10th or nearest 100th, okay? That would be 8, right? So take that out, add 1, that gives you 5.38 gallons. Okay? So, again, let's go over it again. If you're looking for gallons, we always know we bring gallons as our first one. That's our first number in the equation here. And they gave us the 1 gallon equals 4 liters. So we bring that over here and put that here. Then they're looking for how many gallons are in 21.5. So we put 21.5 because that's what how many liters we have. But we want to know how many gallons go into that. So that's where we get our x, because we don't know what that is. That's what we're solving for. So we bring that over, multiply 20.5 times 3, or 21.5 divided by 4 gives you the 5.375. Okay? Now, double proofing your work. Now this is an extra step. If you don't like it, if you don't want to hear it, don't look, just keep going. We know here is 4 liters equals 1 gallon. Well, how are we going to figure out how many gallons that? So we take 21.5 divided by 4. Because we know we have 21.5 liters. Well, how many times does 4 go into 21.5? 5.38 times, and that gives you your liters. I mean your gallons, sorry, gallons. Okay, so you see what I did? I double checked, I double proofed my work. This is double stepping, just to make sure you got your answer correct. If you look here, you know 4 liters equals 1 gallon. Well, you take 21 divided by 21.5 divided by 4, that gives you how many gallons are in there. Okay? It's just a simple step to proof your work to make sure you got the right answer. It's a simplified way, okay? For this purpose, you need it, for this class, you need to know how to do this, all right? But again, we know we have 4 liters. There's 4 liters is 1 gallon. We know that. But we got 21.5 liters sitting in front of us. We want to look at that and say, how many gallons is in that? Well, we know there's 4 liters, 1 gallon. We take 21.5 divided by 4. Then we can multiply that times 1. And that's give you 5.38. Okay? Next question. How many millimeters are in 18 inches? All right? 1 inch equals 2.4 centimeters. Okay. Question is, how many mLs? So mLs is over here, question mark. We're looking for mLs. Why do we start our equation? First line is what? mLs, because we know that that's what we're looking for. But wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let me go back. I'm still milliliters, not millimeters. Okay, millimeters. Sorry, millimeters. All right, that's what we're looking for, millimeters. All right, so we're looking for millimeters. Well, all right, so now we got to condense this down because we have centimeters, right? Well, let's go to our little cheat sheet that we had earlier. Well, looky here. All right, so we know, here's our unit. Remember I said this is your liters. We have liters. That's our unit, right? Well, which one is larger, smaller? I mean, which one are we going to look? They gave us centimeters. Okay. It says how many millimeters are in centimeters? Keep going, liters. Okay, sorry. It's meters. I keep getting confused. Sorry, millimeters. So we know meters is our unit, okay? Millimeters. All right. So meters, that's our unit. Well, we're looking for milli. So if they give us centimeters, and then we have millimeters, they gave us, it was 2.54 centimeters. What is millimeters or is millimeters smaller or bigger than centimeters? It's smaller. So we add was 1 0, okay? So we know so it would be 10 because there's 1 0. So we put 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. Okay? You don't start at meters because they didn't give you meters. They gave you centimeters. They gave you the centimeters. So now you got to figure out which one's smaller. This millimeters which one is millimeters smaller or larger? Well, we know it's smaller. So we take, that's a difference of 1. Okay? That's a difference of 1 0. Well, that 1 0 you put into a 10. That's where I get the 10 millimeters. Okay? So then, all right, so we know 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. All right, so we're back to our question. So remember I told you 2.4 centimeters. Well, we're looking for millimeters. Well, we went back to our little chart, and we looked and saw centimeters is smaller than millimeters. So remember, we move it to the right. So that would give us 25.4 millimeters, okay? But instead, we're gonna try to figure that out by the equation, okay? So, now I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So we did 10 centimeters. Well, all right, so now what do we do? Well, we got 2.54 centimeters because remember, centimeters is here. We want to put centimeters up here. Now we know that's 1 inch. Okay? Well, now that we look here, we got 18 inches is in how many millimeters is in 18 inches? That's our X. Okay? So, what do? As we've done before. 10 times 2.54 times 18 equals 457. One, and it gives you what? 457.2 inches. I mean, millimeters. Okay? That's how you get that question. So let's go over it again. They're looking for millimeters. Okay? We first have to find out how many millimeters are in centimeters. All right? Well, the difference is 1 0, so it's 10 over 1. Okay? Then you multiply. Then you bring your 2.5 centimeters because centimeters, inches. All right? That gives you the 457.2 millimeters. Okay? Now, if you want to check your work, all right? We know if we want to convert centimeters to millimeters, it's 1 0, right? Or 1 decimal. So we make this take that over to 25.4 millimeters, right? Because we're moving to the right because it is smaller. Well, so we converted that without even having to do all this. Remember, because we know there's 1 0 in that little chart. There's only 1 0, which is 1 decimal. So that made it 25.4. So we come down here and we take 25.4 millimeters, because we know 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. So what do? We take 25.4 times 18 inches, because we just gave us 25.4 millimeters is in 1 inch. How many millimeters are in 18 inches? That gives you your 457.2. It's about converting, okay? Again, you need to know how to do this, okay? But this is checking your work, right there. Okay, number 10. How many LPN slots are needed for a 480-bed hospital? 1 nurse per 12 beds, 5 CNAs per 2 LPNs, and CNAs per 1 nurse. All right. Well, how many LPN slots are needed for a new 148-bed hospital? How many LPNs? That's what we're looking for, right? LPNs. LPN here, question mark. All right. So, what are we going to put first? LPNs, right? Because that's what they gave us. They said there's 2 LPNs for 5 CNAs. Well, so we put 2 LPNs. What's going to go here? Well, it's going to be 5 CNAs, because that's what they gave us. Okay? All right. Well, what goes next? Where does this go? We bring it up there, right? So CNAs. Well, there's 2 CNAs per 1 nurse. Okay, well, now we're going to bring, what do we bring next? Nurse goes where? Here, nurse. 1 nurse per 12 beds. 12 beds. Well, they've given us 480, so that's what goes next. 480, so we're working for what? This is going to be what we're looking for. We're looking for how many LPN slots are needed for this 480-bed hospital. Okay, again, we're looking for LPNs. Our first fraction starts with LPN over CNAs. They gave us 5 CNAs for 2 LPNs, so 2 LPNs, 5 CNAs. We bring CNAs up here, that gives us 2 CNAs for 1 nurse right here. We bring this down and put that fraction here. We cancel these out, CNAs. Now we bring the nurse over here, up to the top. Well, 1 nurse per 12 beds. Cross out the nurses, and then you have 1 over 12 beds. Cross out the beds, because we give the 12 beds for one nurse. There's 480 beds in this hospital. They're looking how many LPNs they need. Then what do we do next? 2 times 2 times 1 times 480. So that would be what? 2 times 2 times 1 times 480 equals 1,920. Divided by 5 times 1, which is 5, times 12 is 60, times 1. So that's 60. So 1,920 divided by 60 equals what? 32 LPNs. Okay? All right? I'm not going to show you how to simplify your work for this one because it's kind of a long, difficult one, okay? And it'll just confuse you. So, look at this. Know this, how I do it. Remember, all this does this. Okay? If you set your equation up right, like I said, you start with LPNs, but you're ending with actually LPNs because that's what this number is going to give you, right? LPNs. But you just use the X, okay? All right, I'm going to leave that up. I'm going to leave that one there for just a minute. I'm going to do the next one on the board. I'm going to leave that there for you. Next one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take it off because it's going to confuse you. You can rewind. That's the reason why I'm doing this. You can rewind, and you can figure it out and watch it and do it over and over and over again. All right. How many centimeters? How many centimeters? Well, there's what we're looking for, centimeters, because it says how many. That's what we're looking for, centimeters. Okay, centimeters are in 4 feet. That's that's how much we have. Okay. So they give us 12 inches equals 1 foot. 1 inch equals 2.454 centimeters. All right, well, centimeters is what they're asking for, so what goes first? Centimeters. Well, we know 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters, so 2.54 over 1 inch. Multiply, the next fraction would be what? 12 inches over 1 foot. Okay? Don't. Mark that out already. Cross that out, because that's what we did. Brought that over. Well, now, what's the next one? Well, there's nothing else, so we got 4 feet. So we bring 4 feet over X. That's what we're looking for. This is going to be 1 centimeters at the end, okay? So, what do we do? 2.54 times 12 times 4 equals 121.92. Okay? Well, this is pretty simple. 1, 1, 1. What's 1 times 1 times 1? 1. So what do we got? There's 121.92 centimeters in 4 feet. I'm sorry guys, those answers were cut off earlier, I didn't realize that. Alright. So that's where your answer is. Centimeters. Okay? Alright. Next question. Number 12. How many seconds are in 2 weeks? 7 days equals 1 week. Well, what's our question? What are they looking for? They're looking for how many seconds? So seconds. How many seconds? All right, so we start our equation by first line, seconds. But they don't give us seconds there. So what do? How are we going to break this down? Well, we know 60 seconds is 1 minute, right? All right, you got that? 60 seconds is 1 minute. It doesn't give you that, but we're looking for seconds, okay? So we got to start breaking it down from seconds. Well, we know 60 seconds is 1 minute. Then we multiply. We know how many, then what are we going to bring up here? We're going to bring up minutes, right? Well, what would be our next common number we're looking for? Well, we're looking for minutes, right? How many minutes is in 1 hour? There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Well, now we got to find out. We got to go, so we got to bring over hours. This is a long one. We have 1 hour. There's 24 hours in 1 day, right? 24 hours in 1 day. Okay? Well, so we need to bring over here, we need to multiply over here. We know there's 7 days in what? 1 week. Now we're looking for 2 weeks over that. All right, see how I did that? I broke it down. I had to break it down because they didn't break it down for us. So 60 seconds is 1 minute, 60 minutes is an hour, there's 24 hours in 1 day, and there's 7 days in 1 week. All right, and there's 2 weeks is what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. That's our given. All right, and then we're looking for seconds. So see, I brought this over here. That's my final fraction in the equation. All right, so what do? 60 times 60 times 24 times 7 times 2 equals equals 1,209,600,000 over 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. What's your answer? This, because you multiply, you divide it by 1, it gives you 1,209,600,000 seconds. That's your answer. Okay? And I'm not going to show you how to check your work because that's another confusing process, and I want you to know this way. Okay? All right. Give you a few seconds to write this down. Look at it again. 60 seconds is in 1 minute. 60 minutes in 1 hour. There's 24 hours in 1 day. There's 7 days in 1 week. And we got 2 weeks, and that's what we're looking for. Okay? All right. Next question. The typical aspirin tablet contains 5 grains of the active ingredient acetylsalicylic acid. Express this weight in grams. They are looking for grams because it says express this weight in grams. So we're going to write grams over here. That's what we're looking for. All right. So we're gonna look through all of our numbers that we got given here. Where do I see grams? Oh, there's grams right there. So we know we're gonna start our first fraction as grams. And we know 31.1 grams equals 1 ounce. And that's the symbol for ounce if you don't write OZ. Okay? All right. Multiply. What's our next one? We're going to bring ounces. Right? So what's our next given? Well, 8 drams equals 1 ounce. So 1 ounce equals 8 drams. Okay? Then we go, what do we put here? We know we're bringing it up, drams. What's here? Well, we have 1 dram equals 3 scruples. So there's your drams. Is 1 dram, 3 scruples. Okay? As you notice, whatever they're giving us, I'm working backwards. See? 31 over 1 is there. 8 over 1 is here. 3 over 1 is here. Then 20, we're going to put 1 scruple equals 20 grains. Okay? Well, what are they looking for? 5 grains. So, 5 grains over X. What do we do? Same as we did for the rest of them. 31 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 5 equals 155 over 1 times 8 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 times 20 equals 480. Okay? Now we do what? How do we simplify that down? 155 divided by 480 equals 0.322, but we don't do anything this because it's between 0 and 4, right? So we don't round up, we don't round down, we leave it just like it is. That gives you your grains. Okay? So again, equals, and this is my equation here, see? Alright? I just run it over so you guys can see it. So, again, we're looking for grains. Okay? I mean grams. Okay? So, we're looking for grams. So grams goes here. Then we know 31.1 grams equals 1 ounce. Then 1 ounce equals 8 drams. Drams goes up in here. 1 dram equals 3 scruples. We bring the scruples up here. Okay, so cross those out. Scruples, scruples. Grains, grains. And what are we looking for? We're looking for the grams. So you have 0.32 grams. That's how many? Okay? All right. So 0.32 grams. That's your answer. All right. Next question. Okay. How many centimeters? Well, there's our question. How many centimeters? Centimeters, right here. Start our equation. First line is going to be what? What's going here? Centimeters. Always starts at first. So, look at what we're given. 2.54 centimeters is 1 inch. Okay, what goes next? Well, we know what goes here because we got to bring it up here, right? So it's inches. Well, what do they give us in inches? Well, there it is, 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, well, start our next portion, our next fraction. Well, this is feet. What's going to go here? It's going to be feet. Well, 3 feet equals 1 yard. Okay? Well, they give us what they're working for. They already give us what they have. They have 12 yards. So 12 yards goes to the very end. And we're looking for our centimeters. So, what do? We multiply across 2.54 times 12 times 3 times 12 equals 1,097.28 over 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Well, that's 1. And what happens if you divide 1,097.28 divided by 1? It gives you 1,907.28 centimeters. Again, centimeters is what we're looking for. Inches over to inches, feet to feet, yards to yards. And that's what we're looking for. Okay? Number 15. All right, number 15. How many cups? Yep, there's our question. What are we looking for? Cups. So we're looking for cups. Right? All right. Again, how do we start it off? What's our first line going to be? Cups. Right? Because that's what we're looking for. Well, our equation, then what they give us already says 2 cups equals what? 1 pint. Okay? 2 cups equals 1 pint. That goes there because we know cups is what we're looking for. We know cups always start, so we got to find what goes in cups. And they give us 2 cups is 1 pint. All right, what do we do next? We put next equation, what goes there? Well, we know pint goes up, so it's pints. Okay, well, 2 pints equals 1 quart. So 2 pints, 1 quart. What goes next? Four quarts equals 1 gallon because, remember, quarts goes up, we bring quarts here, so we gotta find what they give us, and they give us 4 quarts is 1 gallon. Well, then we do one more. Well, they're asking, so we have 5 gallons sitting in front of us. They wanna know how many cups are in those gallon buckets. Well, we put 5 gallons, because remember, gallons goes there. 5 gallons over x1 equals what? Two times 2 times 4 times 5 equals 0. No, kidding. 2 times 2 times 4 times 5 equals 80. over 1, or x, gives you 80 cups. Okay? Everything that's given right here, you put in this equation, and you just follow the system of order. Cups, pint, pint, quart, quart, gallon, gallon, and then x. If you gotta set up your equation. If you don't set your equation up, you're gonna get the whole answer wrong. As I said, everything goes diagonal, up to here, up to here, up to here. Okay? It's all about the equation setup. That's the most important thing for you guys. And you gotta know what you start with. You start with what you were given. Okay? Last question. This is from the quiz I gave you guys last week. And this question was on the homework, so if you missed it, I don't know what to tell you. Patient has to take 2 capsules 3 times a day for a 3-week period. How many capsules? How many capsules? That's what we're looking for, right? Capsules. Caps. That's how we use caps. How many caps? All right. Well, all right, so we gotta look for this, right? 7 days is 1 week. All right, well, two capsules. What was it? Yeah, 2 capsules per 1 dose. Okay? Well, how many doses a day? 3 doses a day. Dose, remember? 1 day. Well, how many days is in a week? There's 7 days. I give you 7 days, remember, because days and days is in 1 week. Well, how many weeks are we doing this for? How many weeks does the patient taking these capsules? For 3 weeks. So we know we're going to bring weeks up here, and we have 3 weeks. That's what they're giving us. Now we're trying to find out, these are going to be our capsules. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 times 3 is 126. Over 1. What you divide 126 divided by 1 gives you what? 126 capsules. Now, this is another one. Now these are easy to break down and check your work because they're much simpler. Remember I told you, if it's 3 times a day and there's 2 capsules per dose, 2 capsules 3 times a day is 6, correct? So 2 capsules 3 times a day times 3 times a day equals 6 capsules a day. Right? This is just proofing your work. This is nothing else. It's just proofing your work. 6 capsules are in a day, right? Per day. 6 capsules per day. How many days are in a 3-week period? There's 7 days in a week. How many weeks is there? 3. What, 7 times 3? 21. Equals 126. Okay? All right. That is last week's quiz. And I will explain to you in class what we're going to do about next week's quiz. It will not be graded. I'm not giving you a grade for it. Use this and study.